Good morning.
Good morning,
Good
Doctor.
morning. Good morning. Do you have any question?
Yes, Doctor. I want to clarify about one thing. I want some clarification.
Okay, I'll go on.
If I want to refer to more than one word from different lines of the same page to express an idea, should I document every word alone, or I separate these words by commas and document them at the end?
Okay, Ola. Repeat your question, please.
Yes, Doctor. I repeat. If I want to refer to more than one word from different lines in the exam, I want to take many words for symbolism, for example, of the same page. Should I document every word alone, or I separate these words by comma and document all of them? Then I write the number of the page.
Okay, Ola, why don't you, let's say, quote the line in which the word appears, okay? Then you document the line, you mention the at the end of the line, and then you comment on a certain word. So you have a word in this line, you say, for example, number 12 is a sacred number. It symbolizes something, for example, okay?
Okay, Doctor.
So it is better to quote the line. Yes, Olet, quote the line. Let your quote be clear and understood.
Okay, Doctor, thank you.
Not at all.
Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning. Okay, Ola. Here you have in this poem, on the French coast, this is the first stanza. On the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. Okay, so this line means that there is something transitory, temporary, i.e., it doesn't last for a long time. Okay, so the fact that the light gleams and is gone is symbolic of the temporality of something. Okay, so in the past, people were faithful. Now they have lost faith. Okay, so on the front, you can say that Arnold says on the French coast, the light gleams and is gone. You write it within quotation marks. And here you write it as follows. Arnold says, comma, quote, on the French coast, the light, slash, because here you have two lines, slash, gleams and is gone. You unquote. You don't need to use a punctuation mark. You write the number of the page within parentheses. Period. Then you comment. You say the light that gleams and is gone is symbolic of temporality. Matthew Arnold is saying that people were faithful, now they have lost faith. So nothing is everlasting in this world. So this is the best way to do it. So it is, instead of quoting words, you have to quote, let's say, the line or the sentence if you have prose. Then you take that word and you show me the significance of that word. Is it clear?
Yes, doctor, I'll do it in the way that you have mentioned. Thank you.
Okay, because the samples that you have online you may have, let's say, many essays and critical papers written by students. These critical papers are not academic, especially those that take words and comment on them. Okay?
Okay, doctor. Okay, thank you.
Now if you want to paraphrase or to summarize, let's say, a stanza in your own words, you may summarize a stanza in a sentence, and you take a word from that stanza, you write it within quotation marks, okay, Ola? And at the end of the paraphrase or the summary, you document. You don't document after that word which you have enclosed within quotation marks. You document at the end of the summary or the paraphrase. Okay? Now, you as a literature student should mention the number of the page. Language students should mention only the date of the publication of the text. They don't need to mention the number of the page. Is it clear?
Yes, it's very clear. Thank you.
Even to language students.
I have a question, doctor.
Okay, go on.
So if we are quoting in the essay and we mentioned the name of the author and we have to quote a statement, can we say as she states or as she as she says, or she we can't say she?
You mentioned the name of the author. You don't need to say as she says.
I mean in the same sentence before I said
Give me an example. Give me an example. This is not enough.
yeah.
This is not clear enough. Give me an example.
I mean, if we said Sylvia Plath talked about the state of women in a patriarchal society, and I stated many things, and then I want to say that I want to quote a statement that she says. So do I have to say the name again, not put as she? We can't use she.
If you mention her name, you may use the pronoun. That pronoun refers back to her. Okay, Sylvia Plath in Daddy deals with the status of women in a patriarchal society. Period. She says, comma, you quote, and at the end of the quote, you mention the number of the page.
Yeah, that's the point. So we can use pronouns.
Yes, yes.
And another question.
Okay, go on.
Is it obligatory to use a point at the end of the quote, not a comma if I want to explain it?
You have to use a period.
So I can't use a comma.
It depends. If you are quoting a phrase, you don't need a comma. In this case, you will end up with a phrase or what we call a fragment. It depends. I'm not going to say use a period or a comma. I cannot say it is true or it is wrong if I don't have an example.
I mean, if I said Plath says, and I quote, and then I put a comma and say, which means that, is that
No,
wrong?
no, no, no. For example, you say Sylvia Plath at the end of the poem, she says, comma, quote, I shall unloose the lioness slash the shriek in the bath slash the cloak of hose, unquote, page number within parentheses, period. Because here the quote is clear enough. I have quoted accurately. Period. Then I comment on it. This means that Sylvia Plath wants to rebel ferociously against her society. So she proposes that revolution is a solution to the problems that women face in their societies. Period this. You don't write period which or comma which means that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Doctor,
Yes.
sorry, I wasn't able to hear you at the beginning. You said that we can't mention just or quote just one word. It will be unacademic.
Of course, like the ones that you have online. I said, if you want to paraphrase or to summarize, and in your paraphrase and in your summary you have quoted a word or a phrase, write it within quotation marks, and at the end of the paraphrase or the summary, write the number of the page if you are a literature student, or write the date of the publication of the text if you are a language student. So the documentation should come at the end of the paraphrase or the summary, not directly after the quoted word.
And if we quoted more than one word,
In your analysis,
yes, in our paraphrasing or summary.
yes, every word or phrase that you take as it is from the original text should be written within quotation marks. And the documentation should come directly after the summary or the paraphrase, not after the quoted word or phrase.
Doctor, can I ask you something?
Okay, go on.
When we want to quote a verse out of the play, you told us to leave 10 points, right? Beside the margin, I mean.
Okay.
So do we add 10 points, or like we imagine like we're adding 10 points and then we leave space?
I said, if your quote runs into more than 4 lines, if you are a literature student, or if your quote contains more than 40 words, if you are a language student, you have to set your quote off. This means that all the lines of the quote should be indented 10 spaces. So you have to skip 10 spaces at the beginning of each line. Okay, so if you are typing on the computer, you have to skip 10 spaces, i.e. 10 clicks. Now on the exam, you don't have to insert 10 periods or dots at the beginning of each line. Imagine that. Okay, now at the beginning of each paragraph, you usually skip, let's say, 1 column on the exam. Okay, in the case of the set of quote, you may skip 3 columns to show me that this is an indented quote. 3 or 2, not 1. If you skip 1 column at the beginning of each paragraph, you have to skip, let's say, 2 columns to show your indented or set of quote. If you skip 2 spaces at the beginning of each paragraph, you have to skip 3 before your indented quote. Is it clear؟ ماشي تمسكي الآن تقول تحط لي نقاط 1 2 3 4 5 6
Yes, doctor.
skip 2 columns or 3 columns. That's it.
Thank you, doctor.
Not at all. Any more questions?
Doctor,
Yes.
can I ask a question?
Okay, go on.
Concerning the poems we have taken, shall we explain them stanza by stanza or the poem in general? I mean the main idea of the poem.
On the exam?
Yes.
No. Neither stanza by stanza, nor the general ideas. I will give you a topic related to a poem. You have to organize your ideas into paragraphs. So in this case, you may have, let's say, an introduction. This is a paragraph. A methodology, this is another paragraph. You may have, let's say, 4 or 5 body paragraphs and a conclusion. So you can't say in stanza 1, Sylvia Plath says X, Y, and Z. In stanza 2, in stanza 3, in stanza... This is wrong. This is not academic. If you do it in this way, you will not pass the course. You will fail the exam.
Okay, doctor, thank you.
Okay? Because your friends, your colleagues in the past used to say in stanza 1, in stanza 2, in line 1, in line 2. This is unacademic. I didn't teach you to answer the question in this way. And I'm sure those who write in this way are those who don't attend. So they don't know what goes on in class. Okay? So you have to write a well-organized, thought-out essay, and you have to support your analysis with quotes taken from the poem. And you have to document your quotes to say
Doctor,
that you have mastered the techniques of writing a research paper.
Doctor, we write an outline whether you ask us or not.
If I ask you to write an outline, write an outline. If I don't ask you, don't write.
Okay, doctor, thank you.
Okay, we will discuss the exam during the last session. Any
Okay.
questions related to Dover Beach? Okay, I think I left the discussion off at the end of stanza 2. Only from the long line of spray, where the sea meets the moon blanched land. Listen, you hear the grating roar of pebbles, which the waves draw back and fling at their return up the high strand, begin and cease. So this means that you hear the grating roar of pebbles, begin and cease, and then again begin. With tremulous cadence, slow, and bring the eternal note of sadness in. And I said the rhyme pattern goes as follows: A, B, C, D, B, E, D, E. Right? A, B, C, D, B, E, D, C, and I said the rhyme pattern is interrupted. Yes, especially the rhyme pattern of the last 4 lines. B, E, D, E. Whereas the first pattern is A, B, C, D. Okay, so the interruption of the rhyme pattern highlights the problems that interrupts the tranquility of human life. This is what I said at the end of last session, right? Sophocles long ago heard it on the Aegean,
Yes, Dr. Raj.
and it brought into his mind the turbid ebb and flow of human misery. We find also in the thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. Okay, so this means that Sophocles heard the grating roar of paddles on the Aegean, i.e. the Aegean Sea, and it reminded him of the ebb and flow of human misery. Okay, so the interruption of the grating roar of paddles reminded Sophocles of the ebb and flow of human misery. We, i.e. in the present, find also in the sound a thought, hearing it by this distant northern sea. So the roar of the paddles reminds Sophocles of human misery, and the roar of paddles reminds the speaker in this poem of a certain idea. Okay, here we have the following rhyme scheme. Ago rhymes with flow, brought rhymes with thought, we rhymes with C. So we have A, B, A, then we have C, B, C. A, B, A, C, B, C. Here we have 2 rhyme patterns. And each rhyme pattern corresponds to one period of time, i.e. the 2 rhyme patterns correspond to the past and the present. Okay, now the roar of the paddles that is interrupted reminds the speaker of the retreat of faith from the universe, i.e. man is losing faith. So that's why he says in the following stanza, the sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle felt. Okay, so in the past people were faithful. So that's why he says the sea of faith was once too at the full, and round earth's shore lay like the folds of a bright girdle furled. So it is like a dress. Covering the whole universe. But now I only hear its melancholy long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the light wind down the vast edges, drear and naked shingles of the world. Okay? Now, in the last part of this stanza, the speaker compares the world to a seashore, and he compares human beings to pebbles on the shore. Okay? So that's why he says, but now I only hear its melancholy long withdrawing roar, retreating to the breath of the night wind down the vast edges. These are the edges of the shore, drear and naked shingles of the world. Shingles means pebbles. Okay? So, i.e., humanity is losing its faith. Okay? So, faith has become so weak, W-E-A-K, that it retreats to the breath of the night wind. And the breath of the night wind means the breeze. The breeze
what,
is,
doctor?
yes,
That what?
retreats, withdraws to the breath of the night wind. So the breath of the night wind is the breeze. It is very gentle, it is very weak. So faith has become so weak that it is retreating to the breeze of the night. Okay, and I said last time, the lines look like the waves. We have long lines, short lines. The long and short lines reflect the movement of the waves. And I said this is concrete verse, i.e., the shape that the poem takes on paper. Okay, so the shape that the poem takes on paper here reflects the movement of the waves. And the movement of the waves in this poem reflects the fact that faith is withdrawing from the universe of human beings. In other words, Matthew Arnold is referring to the Victorian people who have lost faith. Love. Let us be true to one another. Okay, so man has already lost faith. So the only solution to the crises, to the problems that humanity faces is love. Okay, so instead of having faith in God, Arnold proposes to have faith in man. Okay, so according to him, man should have faith in his fellow man. i.e., people should believe, should have faith in their own potentials. Okay? Love, he is addressing his lady. And I said here we have two persons, a man and a woman. So the man is addressing his beloved. So he's saying to her, let us be true to one another. For the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help for pain. Okay, so there is a difference between the reality of the world and the way it looks. The world seems to be a land of dreams, a land of hopes, so beautiful, so new. But the speaker realizes that this world
Can you hear the doctor?
No.
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 No. No. We can't hear him. It seems that he lost connection.
Okay. Okay, back to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor.
Yes, doctor.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry, I got disconnected because the electricity went off.
Don't.
Okay. All of let us be true to one another. And I said this means that he proposes to have faith in man as a solution to the crises that humanity is facing. For the world which seems to lie before us like a land of dreams, so various, so beautiful, so new, hath really neither joy, nor love, nor light, nor certitude, nor peace, nor help, or pain. So the world in which the speaker is living is not an idyllic paradise. Idyllic, IDYLLIC. I.e., it is not a perfect universe where man lives happily and achieves his dreams. Okay, so there is a discrepancy, i.e., there is a difference between how the world looks and what it is in reality. The world seems to be beautiful and new and a land of dreams, but in fact it lacks love and joy and peace and certitude. And we are here as on a darkling plain, i.e., they are living in a world of darkness. It is a world of hatred. It is a world of wars. We are here as on a darkling plain, swept with confused alarms of struggle and flight, where ignorant armies clash by night. So the tranquility of human life is interrupted by wars. And this stanza refers to the wars that took place during the second half of the 19th century. Okay, so here we have the following rhyme scheme. True rhymes with new. Seems rhymes with dreams. Light rhymes with flight. Pain rhymes with plain, and we have an extra line, night, which rhymes with flight and light. So the rhyme scheme goes as follows: A, B, B, A. Then you have C, D, D, C. So here we have 8 lines. The first 4 lines have the following rhyme scheme: A, B, B, A. The second 4 lines have the following: C, D, D, C. Then we have a 9th line which rhymes with light and flight. It is C. Okay, so this means that the rhyme scheme or the rhyme pattern is interrupted by the last line. We have an extra line in this stanza. And this line interrupts the rhyme scheme. This rhyme pattern shows that the world is flawed. F-L-A-W-E-D. It has certain problems. It is not perfect. This is the meaning of flawed. F-L-A-W-E-D. Okay? The rhyme scheme shows that the world is flawed. It is not a perfect universe. Okay? So faced with the troubles that the Victorian man faces, Matthew Arnold proposes the faith in man. Okay, i.e., man should have faith in his own potentialities, i.e., in what he can achieve. Okay, so faith is no longer a solution to the problems that humanity is facing. He proposes an alternative. The alternative here is the faith in man. This is the end of Dover Beach. Do you have any question?
Doctor,
No.
Yes.
but men were ranging word. Why he's blaming God instead of man, and he has
He's not
still.
blaming God. Inas, he's not blaming God. Matthew Arnold is saying that religion no longer resolves the crises that humanity is facing. As a result, he gives a certain solution. This solution is having faith in man. Okay? Now, you should know that Matthew Arnold is one of the Victorian writers who have lost faith. Okay, he may have had the right to lose faith, simply because religion during the Victorian age or during the 19th century was used as a means of justifying the practices of the upper social classes. Okay? Now we know that the church during the Victorian age used to preach that poverty is a means of elevating the human soul into a level at which it will be granted heaven after death. Okay? So in this case, the church was understood as a proponent of the capitalist regime. Okay? So in this case, the people thought that the church was supporting the capitalists in enlisting the poor in their service. During the Victorian age, the rich were living in luxury, whereas the poor were living in poverty and misery. That's why William Blake, who is a romantic poet, says in his Songs of Experience, "My parents went to church to pray for a God who has made a hell out of our lives." Okay? So in this case, William Blake is saying that religion is used as a means to an end, i.e., people are exploited in the name of religion. Okay, now the chimney sweeper in the Songs of Innocence says, we are told that if we do our duties, God will be our Father. Again, this is a way of using religion as a means to an end. That's why Karl Marx in his work says religion is the opium of nations. Okay, so Matthew Arnold naturally has lost faith in religion. Yes, religion causes the discrimination between the rich and the poor. Religion preaches that the poor should be satisfied with their poverty. After death, they will end up in heaven. Okay? Jesus Christ in the Bible says, it is impossible for a rich man to end in heaven. Do you know why? Do you know
No,
why?
because man is greedy, and when he becomes rich, he exploit poor.
No. He says the following: man cannot worship two gods. Man cannot worship two gods. The first God is God himself.
Money and God.
The second God is money. So according to Jesus Christ, the rich worship their money. They don't worship God. So that's why they will never end up in heaven. So that's why he says it is easier for a camel to get into the eye of a needle than to have a rich man ending up in heaven. So this means that the poor will end up in heaven. Okay, so the capitalist regime made use of this biblical issue. Okay, so do your duty properly, God will be your father. Do your duty, live in poverty in earth, but you will live in heaven after death. Okay, so in this case,
Doctor,
religion was used as a means to an end, i.e., religion was used as a means to help the rich get richer at the expense of the happiness of the poor. Yes.
and here he still has faith only on poor people, and he is asking them to unite and to have faith in each others in order to survive.
He has faith in man in general. Okay, man has certain potentials. Let us put these potentials into practice. Okay, so in this case, Matthew Arnold is the opposite of Alfred Tennyson. Alfred Tennyson was terribly religious. Alfred Tennyson says the world without religion would be terrific. Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, doctor, but he has contradictions. He is against religion and against war, and at the same time, he has faith on men that are arranging war.
Why does man wage wars?
In order to get more rich or in the name of religion.
Okay. Okay, so he calls on humanity to be true to each other. This is it. So he doesn't want human beings to wage wars against each other. He doesn't want human beings to hate each other. He wants human beings to love each other. So if we love each other, we will stop all wars. Do you have any more contradictions now?
No.
Okay. So there are ways for the sake of making money, for the sake of controlling other countries, other nations, other people. So according to him, let us love each other. And love is one of the potentialities of man. Is one of the potentials of man.
So he's asking people not to blindly follow religion, but to follow their own faith and love.
I.e., he wants people to have human values, to believe in human values. And love is a human value. Okay? So in this case, human values replace religion.
Yes, it's clear now.
Okay. Do you have any more questions? Okay, we will go back to your book now. Okay, at the beginning of the book, you have a chapter entitled Introduction to Essay Development. We did it at the beginning of the semester. Then we had a lecture on examples essay. We did it to show you what we mean by topic, sentence, main idea, thesis statement, concrete supports, and what have you. Then you have a chapter entitled Argumentation. So this is the third chapter in your book. We didn't do this chapter. We will discuss this chapter next time. In this chapter, you have 2 student essays to consider. Read the essays. I will refer to them as I discuss the chapter. The chapter deals with how to write an argumentative essay. Okay, so why I will teach how to write an argumentative essay in this course, although you may have taken this chapter before. Okay, now when you do research, you may come across a certain idea. And you think that this idea is not feasible, is not acceptable. So you need to argue against this idea. Okay? So in this case, you argue against a certain idea in order to support your own idea. So that's why you have to learn how to write a good piece of argumentation. Okay? So I will discuss different types of argumentative essays and how to refer to the counter argument in your essay. So we have in fact more than one way of referring to the counter argument, i.e. to the point of view that we disagree with. So we may mention it in the introduction. We may mention it in the thesis statement. We may mention it in the body of the essay. So we will discuss all of these possibilities next time. Today I will leave the discussion off at this point. Do you have any question before I dismiss the class?
Doctor,
Yes,
I want to ask
we miss a page. We miss a page, which is page 323, 324.
In the book?
Yes, we have only a part of the essay that begins with teenagers and jobs. And then we miss a page.
Okay, Ola. The page is misplaced in the book. It is placed somewhere in the book. Turn over the pages. You will find the page somewhere, I'm sure.
I'm sure it's not found because the numbering of the pages, when I numbered it, it's completely different than your numbering.
Ola, last year when we had the class at university, the students found the page towards the middle of the book.
Okay, doctor, I'll check it.
Anyway, you
Can you
don't
please
have, it is the teenagers and jobs.
Yes, doctor, I have found it. Yes, it's in the middle of the book.
Yes, it is
Thank you.
misplaced towards the middle of the book. Look for it,
Yes,
please.
yes, that's right. Yes, that's right. I found it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any question before I dismiss the class?
Thank you, doctor.
Thank you.
Doctor,
Yes.
with respect to the methodology of Dr. Beach,
I discussed it. I said it is new criticism, stylistics.
okay, thank you, Doctor.
Not at all.
Thank you, doctor.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for attending.
Goodbye, doctor.
Goodbye, goodbye.
thank you, doctor.
Okay, thank you.